Hello.
Hello. Well, Chris, I don't know if you are the one welcoming these South American people or if you want, I mean, we will love to give you the honor.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with each of you. And thank you so, Rosario, for helping lead this final roundtable discussion of this series that we have with the GatherVerse Tech for Humanity series. And all of you that are with us at GatherVerse.live and joining us from quite literally around the world, and especially from our dear friends and dear hearts in South America. We're so happy to be here with you to understand just that much more about this incredible history and the heritage of the culture reflected by each of you. And so I'm happy to join with you on the roundtable, and I'll turn this over to Rosario for your leadership.
Thank you, Chris. No, thank you for your leadership. Well, to start, I will love to invite three of my favorite people in technology, and you know that, to introduce yourselves and to share why do you think you are part of this conversation. Marianne, if you want to start, ladies first.
Okay, so thank you so much for the invitation. So I think we're part of this conversation because all humans need to be part of the AI revolutions, and also looking for what will be the next step to bring back humanity, and not bring back but encourage, like, support humanity and the values that we need to carry on to different platforms. So I think that's my goal here.
Thank you. You forgot to share who you are and what do you do. But
Okay, so right now I'm developer, advocate on ILF, Interledger Foundation. I'm also co-founder of Pioneers Dev Community in Colombia. I'm from South America, from Medellin, Colombia. I'm happy to be here.
thank you. Guillermo Jesus, who wants to follow?
You go, Guillermo.
All right, Jesus. Thank you very much. Chris, Rosario, Marian, Jesus. Thanks for having me tonight. Well, this afternoon. I'm in Colombia, in Bogota, right now. I am top local leader for the Founder Institute, LATAM, Colombia and LATAM. And basically, very into technology uh, because, there are many problems in our region in LATAM that mean opportunities. I also hold another hat for as general partner of Indio Venture Capital, and entrepreneurship is like a river that flows down with two sides. In one side is are the entrepreneurs and the technicians and all this technology, and on the other side, on the other shore, are the VCs and the people willing to fund all those projects. So I think this is a great opportunity, Rosario and Chris, to let the people know of those great opportunities. Now with the, let's say, advances in AI, there are plenty of opportunities and a lot of capital willing to be invested in all those projects. So this is a great, let's say, hook for our audience to get involved into this world of technology.
Thank you, Guillermo. Jesus, please.
Yes, thank you for the invitation, Rosario, Christopher. I'm very happy to be here with you. I am Jesus de la Vega. I am part of the Entrepreneurship Institute at Tecnológico de Monterrey. We accelerate and incubate companies all around Latin America, and we build entrepreneurship ecosystems in Mexico and other parts of the world. And I think that I am part of the conversation not because we have contact with many entrepreneurs all around the world, but also because we would like to build communities where tech is open, and we could use tech and use all the talent that we have in Latam to solve the most important problems of the world, and make an impact with these startups. So I think that that's why I would like to share some ideas here. I am very happy to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, Jesus is in the middle of the Mexico Tech Week. So thank you for taking the time to be here. Well, all of you, and I will include myself and Chris, we see companies, we see entrepreneurs every day. And we are very much connected with the real ecosystem of Latin American tech. So from your broad perspective, checking the big picture, how do you think that Latin American market is going around technology? Are founders thriving, surviving, retreating, retraining themselves? What is happening, and what are those key metrics that you see that matter right now? Go ahead, Marianne.
Okay, so I think the real vibe right now is great mode. So founders are surviving with lean revenue first models. The ones thriving are hyper niche, capital efficient, and community led. That would be my perspective.
Thank you. Guillermo, Jesus, Jesus, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, thank you. We have also seen that most of AI-based companies, the ones that are like really building an AI from scratch, are getting like liquidity like very fast most of the times when they found out like a very good market fit. So some of them have been able to have access to capital easier than other startups. Even the ecosystem is like very, very hard right now to get funding. Um, but we have also seen like many other solutions that would like to implement AI just because it's a trend and they don't have like a very specific value to add to some user or to solve any problem at all. It's just something cool that looks nice, and we have seen like these different type of problems with this huge trend all around the time. But I think that the ones that are in the front of the curve, they are getting like a lot of advantages, and if they understand like not just the tools but also the needs of the users, they are able to build very, very cool things.
Thank you, Jesus. Guillermo, you are mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Rosario. I tend to agree with Marian that many of our, let's say, entrepreneurs are like surviving. That's our perspective from within our region. I don't know if Chris might have a different perspective anyway, but basically, most of our entrepreneurs are in that, let's say, mode. There are just a few exceptions of, like, let's say, um, technicians or entrepreneurs launching breakthroughs in technology in our region. But basically, well, we need to increase investment in order to, I mean, leave that mode of surviving.
I would be complimentary and to go on the shoulders of each of you of what you expressed. I would say from my observations and from my interactions with those in the South American ecosystem, which is a vast ecosystem. And I know we tend to aim to look at the global AI arms race as America and Asia, and sometimes Europe. But the reality is that you cannot have the type of technology that we're looking to scale globally without the South American ecosystem for a number of reasons. I look at the South American ecosystem from my experiences of looking at on-chain technology is extraordinary. Extended reality is growing. Artificial intelligence and startups, they're just waiting to continue to scale once there's even more stronger deal flow and capital that's moving in. But I'll say this is the most important to me is that you look at the South American ecosystem, it is the oxygen of the earth. And if you take that culture of South America and its native centricity, its ecocentricity, and you pair that with emerging technologies, that will help us to be able to make the whole planet better when it comes to the breathability, the survivability, and the sustainability of Earth. And we start thinking about planetary wellness. And so for me, when I think about the South American ecosystem, there are so many different entrepreneurs that are arising out of this vast land. And I really don't think that we're prepared globally to look at what it means to place these extraordinary applied sciences in the hands of those in South America, with the multitude of different cultures that's there, from Colombia all the way to Argentina, the Buenos Aires, if you will, the Brazil, and more. I just don't think that the world is ready for this. And so what happens when we start to see whole entire segments that have never been known as technological destinations and overnight become quite tech-centric? We don't know what that world looks like, and we're very infinitesimal in our progress globally as a whole of where we are with technology to where we may find ourselves. So I think that ultimately South America is a sleeping giant.
Thank you, Chris. I really think so. And also, when we interact with a lot of young people, when we go to the different conferences and events, definitely there is a talent, an energy, I don't know, all the knowledge and technical skills, definitely. And of course, in some cases, South American people is doing more with less, because we don't have the flow of funds. So talking about that gap in access to capital, I want to ask something from two sides. The first one is, where are investors putting their money? Where is the smart money going? And the second thing is, if I am a founder and I want to access that capital, what are the key tips and recommendations that you give them?
I will start. So first, will be like, I think it's really important to amplify like the rounds, like know with a revenue at one time of funding, not just the deal count. Is more early checks go to startups with real repeated revenue. So I think they need commitment with the entrepreneur ecosystem, and also with the supporting the ecosystem with more discipline, and yeah, in a long-term relationship. And for the founders would be like creating community, because I think if users, if the community, the supporters aren't obsessed with the solution or the product they are building, so I think it's not attractive at all, because community is first now.
Thank you, Marianne. Guillermo.
Rosario, well, it's a great question, and what you just mentioned about doing more with less, that holds true all over the region. I've been to different, let's say, countries in the region. Let's say Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, for example, is a great example. I've seen like great startups and businesses that are like GMB, with GMBs of $6 to $10 million a month, and an investment that I mean is less than $2 million. So basically, to answer your question, I see VCs and angel investors pouring money into effective software as a service startups that are solving real problems and that are capital efficient, and that, as Marin also mentioned, that high level of monthly recurrent revenue. Those are like models that have been validated all over the region, and many fintechs also fit this profile. So, well, fintech is probably the sector that holds is like the magnet for investment in the region, maybe around 40% of VC investment. So, but basically, I have to highlight what you just mentioned, Rosario. In Latin America, we have developed skills to do more with less.
Right. Thank you. Jesus.
Jesus might be frozen, but
Yes, maybe frozen, but well, we will ask him later about that. I will, Guillermo, you were mentioning fintech as one of the top sectors, and of course, that's related with a problem that we will talk a little bit later, and is all the exchange of money between countries and people in different countries. But what are the trends and the sectors that you are seeing? If you will be an entrepreneur seeing this and saying, hey, I want to start something, or I want to connect with companies in one industry, what are those industries that you recommend for them to see? Marianne, go ahead. Now we have an
For-
order.
Okay, so I think fintech is really important when we are talking also about cross-border capitals. So smart money is flowing to capital efficient B2B like SaaS or people who are building like DevTools or embedded finance, payment, infra, and yeah. I think all the things like AI is also involved, like data labeling, safety, other vertical workflows. But as I said, I think we have a real good opportunities out there because Latin America, as Chris said, is there are like 21 nations with different cultural. We have a culture and Espanol is our main idiom, but we talk different Espanol in all these countries, and also we have really a specific challenge to achieve. So we are a region, but we are also very rich and very diverse. So perhaps my thinking is if we really embrace what we are with our specific channels and we try to achieve or to close those gaps, perhaps we have the opportunity to be a really prime players in the ecosystem, in the global ecosystem.
And I'll say this to what Marianne just said. I think it's so important with all the different countries and all the different nativity that's there and the different languages expecting Espanol and saying the un día muy preciosa. How many different ways can you say un día muy preciosa? And how can it be expressed in your mother tongue and your native tongue? And if you translate that culture to technology, how greater will the technology be? I think the greater the culture, the greater the contribution, ultimately the greater technology will be.
Chris, even we need to take care with some words because words that are very common in one of our countries are very bad words in other of our countries. So even to that point, that's a great thing.
Yes, Jesus.
Yeah, sorry, I got lost for a few minutes because of the connection. But yeah, setting up a little bit about what Marianne and Guillermo said, I think that we are in Latin America. We have like a very specific problems for the regions. So we are startups are able to build like specific solutions that could work in LATAM, but maybe are not like the problems that we are seeing in Europe or Asia or even in the US. And that's also a very good thing because we are able to develop more specific solutions to grow in this huge market that we have. Even if we add some, we just change the language to Portuguese, we are able to connect with Brazil and to have like a very huge impact in the south. And if we that I think that these solutions combined with liquidity are something that regional investors are also looking for and are finding like very interesting.
Rosario, can I ask a question to the panel?
Please go ahead.
I have a question for each of you, being that you're from South America and South Americans. To more what Marianne expressed, the different countries that are there. Do you find that in South America that there's a communication apparatus, meaning that exchange to one another, as Jesus was referring to with Brazilian Portuguese language, do you find that there's great communication between the various countries for collaboration? And do you foresee that this will scale and grow, or that this is an obstacle and a challenge?
Chris, if you allow me to say.
Everybody jumps at once, please.
Thank you. You're touching a very sensitive, let's say, topic, and that's the importance of this summit. That's the importance of your job, Chris, uniting the world in our region. It's a challenge. I mean, as far as, well, as Jesus and you were mentioning, we have basically Spanish and Portuguese, but the communication, I mean, Brazil is not that it's an isolated, it's not an island in Latin America, but the language barrier exists. I mean, and also between our countries, there are social and political factors also that are like keeping us apart. As you see, for example, Venezuela, for example, right now, is isolated from the world of investment. At some point, other countries have suffered the same destiny or situation, and this is a challenge, and therefore there are great opportunities. And I want to highlight what I just mentioned about the importance of this summit. These are the kind of events that join people and make us convey into these ideas of technology, but beyond technology is uniting people, uniting people that are facing problems, that are creative and are willing to monetize in order to create innovation for our region and to solve real problems.
Please, Jesus, Mera, and Rosario, please, if you feel free to answer, because I have a follow-up for each of you, but please. If Rosario will let me, if she'll allow me.
No, of course. Go ahead, Jesus. Go ahead.
No, I was just would like to say that Guillermo is. I am totally agree with Guillermo. I think that we have like a huge opportunity on coordination and planning between Latin American countries. If we share the same agenda, if we connect, if we have like spaces like this to talk about these problems and to share initiatives, we are able to make a huge change, because we are, if we unite everyone, we are like a very huge economic power, a lot of people, a lot of talent, a lot of needs. So the main challenge is communication and to open these barriers that right now they are open in some spaces, but most of these connections are not able to be made.
Yes, maybe I will add something regarding our history. We come from a history of difficulties, of fighting problems, of trying to improve the economies. And because of that, there are many regulations and many frameworks of action that require to not trust to start. Trust is like by default, you need not to trust. So, for example, if you are investing in Latin America, in Colombia, I will give that example. If you are opening a company in Colombia and you are receiving money from another country, foreign money, you cannot receive more than 10K the first year, $10,000 the first year. That's like, why? Because of anti-money laundering policies. So it's like you are instead of creating ways to do the things in a better way, in many cases we just close the doors and trusting the others. For example, if we are creating a contract between people, usually you need to go to a place called notary and you need to seal everything with you in person, placing your fingerprint, everything, even when you know that the other person is there, because of the story and the background of compliance that we need to clean up, let's say it that way. So I really think that created a culture of not trust, and it's difficult to break it. And of course, breaking barriers with other countries, within countries, with people who is from another industry, with people who is from another region. And as an example, the first time I arrived to the Ken Perlin's lab in New York, in NYU, he said, okay, let's share what each one is doing at its company. And I was like, I'm sharing what I am doing? They will steal my work. And that's what my first approach almost 10 years ago. Yes. But then I learned that collaboration can give you more. But even and I'm giving my own example because I was like, no, I will never share. From there, I changed my culture. And I really think that that's how we met with Marianne, Guillermo, Jesus, etc. And you, Chris. But I think that's difficult to change, to switch.
Would you say, Marianne, and thank you so much, Rosario, Guillermo, and Jesus. Would you say, are we looking at this challenge being more culture centric? Is this more lifestyle centric or political or something different? It could be all three, and that would be fair to say.
All three. Yeah, we have different situations to solve, but I think that's the main issue. Probably, if I have the chance, probably there are the three intersects. Is an intersection, but also I think the trust is something really important, because what I found creating community and supporting community is the majority of the people are acting in good faith, and they have good values. I don't know. I like to think like the we are the good ones and we are the majority. I'm not the only one. And I think with that phrase, I will say like there are a lot of people here don't have like the right resource, but they want to create a great impact, a big impact, and a good one in the society. But probably they are facing a really huge challenge, and also they need one opportunity to demonstrate that they are one of the good ones. I don't know if it was clear.
I find it very interesting, Marianne, and thank you so much, Marianne. And Guillermo, I residually have the question is, what about the youth? What about the young people? Do they have a desire to innovate? And do they see the same similar challenges that they are inheriting from their predecessors as their predecessors inherited the same?
Well, yes, there's a strong movement like for youth, for young people. And from my perspective, as you can read in my tagline, I'm a top local leader for the Founder Institute. And nowadays, Founder Institute has programs for universities and colleges. And the metrics are like the invested capital into the startups that are like being launched by those colleges or universities. I mean, just to let you know that nowadays young people, they don't want to be like our parents used to be willing to be employed by a company and spend 20 years, 30 years working for that company 9 to 5, and then retire and get a pension, a retirement plan, etc. Nowadays, people are thriving and are willing. Young people are willing to found companies, to be founders, and to solve real problems. I mean, that's the importance of as I just mentioned, of this kind of summits to empower young people. And this is an act of leadership, for example, from the GatherVerse South America movement. Okay, they can follow these conversations and they can be empowered by listening to what just was said by Marian, by Rosario, by Jesus, by Chris. All right, and that's I highlight this is the importance of this kind of summits to empower people, young people.
Yes, and I think about this, and thank you, Guillermo. And Jesus, we're coming to you real quick, and I promise, Rosario, I'll be short. I'll be short with this, but it's just I have to ask: it's you mentioned the Portuguese language, and you talk about Espanol. Is it significant? And you may be frozen, and perhaps Rosario, you can answer, or any of you. How significant is that to bridge the gap between this cross-cultural communication? Is this something small? Is it something light? Is it something that's always been, or is this of substance? Please, Rosario.
No, I think there is also something interesting because of the language and Brazil is one of the biggest economies of South America, so the impact is huge. But as well as the language, the regulation and the framework to create a business is very different than many of the other countries in Latin America. So that bridge is, let's say that if you can make it in Brazil, you can make it and grow it for Latin America like Nubank. Because the regulation is more restrictive even than in other places of Latin America.
Yes, thank you. Jesus, please, welcome back.
Hey everyone. sorry.
Were you able to get the question to follow up the heels of Rosario about the bridge gap between speaking of the Portuguese language and Espanol? How significant? What of substance is that?
Yeah, but I think that the even that we were talking before about that we are able to connect with Brazil and other Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America is a possibility and is something that will be very helpful. It's a huge challenge, mainly not just for the language, but also because Brazil have like a very huge populations. So most of startups prefer to grow just in Brazil in the first years, and then they grow to other parts of Latin. But if we go for example, with Mexican companies, for Mexican companies, it's not easy, but they are more used to grow in Mexico and also in Guatemala or Belize or even Colombia or other regions. But the last country where they would like to go in Latam is Brazil, because of the language, because it's a very huge market, because they have like very big competitors there. So well, it's a challenge, not just for the language, but also for the market size that they have.
Thank you, Jesus. Marianne. And then I'll turn it to Rosario. I'll stop.
I think Portuguese. I know Brazil is huge, and I think I am repeating what Rosario and Jesus just shared. But yeah, definitely is a huge opportunity for us, like transit to another Romance Latin root language. As Portuguese, because it definitely is a huge market and we have huge opportunities in this territory. Probably even in fintech that I am right now, the ecosystem is prepared to evolve just in Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil, according to the regulation, to support like open payments and all the technologies that I am supporting right now.
I beg to have one more question. I do have a question. I really do, because as Guillermo says, this is why we gather to understand. I know of South America. I do business with South America. I don't know South America. And I have to ask, we're in a global AI arms race. I know that if I go to France, I can go use LeChat, and I can do Europe, and I go to Switzerland. There's different AI type models and platforms being developed there. If we go to China, there's QN, there's DeepSeek, and then obviously we have the GPTs, Gemini's, and so much more. And there's over 1,800,000 models I know that we're studying over in the UK at Cambridge. I have to ask, in the South American ecosystem, what is the dominant AI platform, and what does AI look like to your ecosystem? Is there anyone that you're seeing or any platforms that you're seeing that are taking off? Because this is part of my real concern, is that as someone that studies these models and has for some time under the banner of ethics, I have not heard a tremendous amount about the scale of AI when it comes to South America. But what I do know, and this is why I say that it's a sleeping giant, I do know from past time of history, and not far away history, recent, that when you don't hear necessarily from a whole entire sector, it tells me, Rosario, that something is brewing. What is brewing? What is being made? Something is being prepared to share with the world. What might that be?
Well, I know that Marianne wants to add there. I saw her. I know her enough. Marianne.
Okay, no, I'm just saying like I think yeah, we are a minority, of course, in this landscape, in this scenario. Right now, only one LLM is produced right here in Latin America, especially it's a big proposal from Chile. I know that we are doing or taking steps in that direction. For example, I know like in Mexico, and Jesus can support this statement. Like they lead the biggest class and training, formal training for 10,000 people right now in the framework of Mexico Tech Week. But definitely, I know like OpenAI, and especially um, before with the support of Microsoft, they were leading in Latin America. We have other big scenarios. My hope is like everyone have the opportunity to become a supporter or creator of one of these libraries or frameworks, especially in the open source ecosystem. And that's why for me it's really important the technical level, not just consuming the tool, is just to build the tool. And I think the builders and the makers and even the products that we create from Latin America to compete in a global scale will be the solution to don't still behind these big changes or disruptions in the humanity.
Right.
I agree.
Yes, yes. I think it's so important when you think about the magnitude of what you just expressed, Marianne, is that we only have a little bit of time to do this, right? Because these machines are so capable, Jesus. We've never seen anything like this before when it comes to technology and applied sciences. And the reality is what happens when the vibe code says to the vibe coder, I don't need you anymore? Or what happens when the investors of the world, the VCs and the angels and the whales that say, Guillermo, why should I invest in Guillermo and Rosario? Why should I invest in Marianne? When Jesus, I can invest in the machine to build what I want to go to market. Minimal people, minimum reduction in costs and expenditures. Why would I invest in humans when machines can do what they do and in some ways even better? Why should I, Jesus? Tell us.
I think that everything is switching to empathy. The founders are able to build faster solutions with AI, as you said. Um, but the understanding of the problems and their empathy with different markets is something that is key to not just developing the solutions, but also to set up UX systems and way to connect with the market that is able to grow and really develop a solutions that could make impact. And I think that that's something that is changing. Also, I think that right now venture capital will focus on smaller teams, smaller companies with quick liquidity, or deep tech companies that are not building just software, but they are building something else that could change food industry or medicine or other sectors that are more specialized and they need very niche tools that will be also very relevant. So I think that people will be relevant and founders will be keep being relevant, but they will change uh, their approach in their companies.
Thank you, Jesus. And Guillermo, what's stopping us? What's stopping South America, Latin America? What is stopping it from being dominant in the headlines of what we see every day in this global AI arms race? What is the biggest challenge for us seeing things come out from all the way from Brazil, whether it's in Portuguese or coming out from, let's say, if look at Chile or Santiago? What is to stop to say that? What is the big challenge? Why don't we see that now?
Well, basically, it's a matter of mindset. We might have the hard skills, but the soft skills sometimes keep us from dreaming big and from having that strong mindset that lead us to not only early victories but for a definite victory, something that gives us the strength to endure a long journey to make a relevant, let's say, technology or a relevant startup be relevant not only in our country, our region, but also all over the planet, all over the world. So I think it's a matter of mindset. Remember that in Latin America, we were colonies. We were colonized, and well, let's say that we've been oppressed by some other societies. So maybe that mindset is still instilled in us, and we need to break free from that. I mean, dream big and also execute accordingly.
Yes.
You know, there I may add something. The educational level, math skills are very low. Bilingual skills are very low. Even in the higher levels of the entrepreneurial world, So when you see those basic skills that you need to be a builder instead of just a consumer of technology, you can see organizations. And I was just learning last Friday in Medellin about what tech the Monterrey is doing with micro credentials, and also Platzi is doing an amazing job from, let's say, from the university side and from the, I don't know how to call that, ed tech, not necessarily formal education. But I think that those type of skills that are, let's say, foundational for being able to learn new skills, to learn how to use the technologies, and also because the majority of the new technologies material to start learning is coming in English, not in Spanish. So how do you learn to learn? How do you learn to learn in another language that is not your native language? I think both are reducing the pace of what is possible for the region.
And I will add right there, like the EdTech stack right now is like more like a modular curriculum with cloud sandboxes, local mentors, and like employer backend challenge, like a company supporter, like the scaling programs to support like students, and the track placement revenue from student projects, because universities also have the opportunity to have like these startup labs or entrepreneur innovation hubs, like as a product or an incubator, and also invest in the students, returning like ideas, becoming ideas to life, or bring ideas to life, like and supporting in that way like the private sector, and yeah, and I think the growth of the economy for our countries and for the region.
I look at and I listen to what it is that's being expressed, and I think about this vast ecosystem of South America, and I think about the type of fundamentals that we have here in Silicon Valley when it comes to incubators and accelerators and a bridge to be able to fund these incredible platforms. This I do know is that one of the most underserved environments in the world has been in South America, whether in Mexico or whether, across the Andes or even Patagonia and everything in between and around the Amazon and everything encircling, is that there's just not enough financial resources. But I wonder in this time now, Rosario, with all these extraordinary tools that we have that are democratized and access. I mean, look at what we're able to do versus just 10 years ago, five
Right.
years ago. There's so many things we could do now, Guillermo. For us that have been in the forest chopping wood, Marianne and Jesus, maybe a little younger, we may be a little bit more mature. But if you think about what we had to do to make the things that we're able to make, just like this, without even almost thinking, I can make things. I can do things that would take so much time for me to think. Does this speed up the opportunity? And does the fact that we have these tools that allow us to be able to build so fast, does this almost necessitate for us to move faster and globally? And how can we bridge that gap and collaborate? Is it more important to see the collaboration of South America within, or is it more important to see the collaboration of South America without globally?
Wow, that's a huge question, but I think both of them are equally important. Inside of South America, we need to learn how to bridge the gap on trust, how to start building communities, and I really think that's why these three people that you see here, Chris, and well, maybe we will include ourselves, but they are believers and builders of communities of trust, and I think that matters a lot. But also, the global connections will give two things that I think are a must for the region. One is understanding that you can dream bigger, because a lot of things are possible when you understand the complete globe as an opportunity. And the second thing, to create connections that could bring resources, opportunities, um, and a lot of possibilities.
What does South America offer to the world, Rosario?
I think creativity, we know how to learn. We have a lab for a lot of the huge problems of the world, but also we have a lot of opportunities in terms of biotechnologies, genomic opportunities. I mean, we have smart people. We have people who is able to build and create,
Yes.
but we need to give them better tools and better education from the ground up.
Do you feel this in your heart also, Marianne?
Definitely. I really when I get in touch with communities, especially Latin American communities, one of the, I don't know, the most amazing things that I saw is resilience, because a lot of people are pushing forward even in the worst circumstances. So when you find out one people with the hunger, the creativity, the I don't know, all the persistence to push forward all difficult situations that they need to face in life, and you saw like they achieve like to become bilingual, to get a job in big tech, to get an opportunity to become a speaker, even if they even have the chance to fly away of our country. So I think that's something amazing, resilience and the opportunity that people have here to learn and to achieve like in really hard circumstance, achieve goals.
If you'll permit me to ask each of you a question, Rosario, I beg you, if I can ask each of you an individual question, I would like to. I'll start with Jesus. Jesus, you're sitting at a technology conference right now, and you're speaking with one as well at the intersection of humanity. I must ask, from what you see, you're there, you're on the ground. What's missing? What resource? What's the fundamental resource that's missing at the event that you're at that would represent what you see thematically with other different technology events in Latin America?
Well, I would say that in Latin America, mainly funding is one huge problem. But going to something more like to about philosophy of how we are doing things in Latin America, I think that there is nothing missing. We just need to feel and to know that we are able to do it and to break this status quo that we need some hero to come here and save us and give us like something unique that will change everything. And we need to understand that we are able to do it here with the resources that we have, and that we are able to develop solutions here that will be a huge change in all around the world. So I think that, well, if we go to the technical point, funding, if we go to more like the basics of how people manage and present themselves, I think that they need to be brave and to understand that they are able to change the status quo in not just Latin America but also the world, and that we have everything that we need here. We just need to go out there and do it.
You know, I find that to be very powerful, and thank you for your honesty and thank you for your candor. That's just when you talk about we don't need another hero. We have everything that we need right here in South America and Latin America. We have all the ingredients. We have all the ingredients, Guillermo. It's sitting in the cabinets. It's sitting in the refrigerator. It's sitting on the countertop, Guillermo. All the ingredients are here. We just need to be the chefs to come and prepare this dish. This is what I just took from Jesus. Now let me ask you, what will cause you to go into that kitchen and to be able to prepare this dish for the world? Because I believe when we have a stronger South America, we all benefit from it. Not just South America, not just Latin America. And until we have a stronger South America, technology will never be as great as it can be until we have that. Am I missing something here, Guillermo?
Yeah, that's right. I think that back in like 10, 20 years ago, the income for South American countries was remittances and commodities. We still have the commodities. We still receive the remittances from the developed world. And as you mentioned, we have all these ingredients here, so we're missing probably stronger leaderships. Uh, Points of or people where convey not only technological power but also political power. I see great examples all over the region. I don't know if you are going to criticize me for this, but you see, for example, Bukele. Bukele is a political leader and a technological leader, so to speak. All right, so maybe that kind of leadership is required, and communication. Okay, we need to believe that value exists and that we can create value every single day of our lives. What is missing is communicate that and charge and collect. I mean, not leave any value over the top, but monetize every single part of this. You see great examples in Latin America, like Nubank. Nubank was founded by a Colombian guy in Brazil. What a, what can be more difficult than that? I mean, incorporating in Brazil, a foreign country, a fintech that is solving real problems, and it happens to be the biggest and better and best, let's say, fintech in America. So that's exactly what we need: leadership and somebody that empowers people independently of hierarchy. We don't need to be generals. I mean, a soldier can be a leader. Okay, so that mindset needs to be changed, and leadership also need to be increased.
Thank you,
So
Guillermo. Thank you, dear Guillermo. We appreciate that so much to say that, because now that we see that Jesus says we have all the ingredients, Marianne, we have everything here. We don't need a hero to come here. We have all of it. And Guillermo says, in order to go, to prepare, to build with what we have, we need leaders. But Marianne, every leader needs something to be able to inspire, to be able to give them the confidence, the bravery, as Guillermo said. What is that? Is it belief? Is it hope?
I think so. And the power of the community is just to have like the I don't know, the certainty, that if you trust in other, you are building with other, and if we can achieve big things if we have a collective like goals and a collective like purpose. I would say, and if we put all of our energy in build and became a makers of our own reality with the others, probably in community we can change our nature and our region.
I listen intently to you, Marianne, and the key word that of all the incredible words you said is purpose. That in order to be able to tap into the things that we already have here geocentrically, and to be able to assemble our leaders to be able to take which what that you have, we need purpose. Common mutual bond of purpose that's colloquial. And then I'll end it with you, Rosario. I see leaders all before me, right here. They've been speaking all throughout this summit series. But we end these last words with you, Rosario. You are a leader. I've seen you to be one of the most traveled persons, and I think we all can agree. Jesus and Mariano Guillermo will agree. You are a leader. There are many things that you've done. I have benefited under your tutelage of many things that you've been so gracious to be able to extend and to be able to help. You teach people, you educate, you speak, you learn. You yourself are a student. You're innovative with you and your family and the things that you do. I have to ask you, with these things that Marianne and Guillermo and Jesus has said, now here comes the real hard question. Is it possible? Or are we just talking? Are we just speaking? Are we just sharing this small moment of time? Are all these things real? Can these things happen from what you see?
Well, Chris, first, thank you for the kind words. Reality is that I love impacting the life of other people. I really think that I receive too much from life, so there is no other way to say thank you, God. I mean, whoever built the universe and is giving us all these opportunities, because when we receive, we should be able to share, but also creating these communities, and this is something that uh, should connect us in what is common for us, in that common purpose. I really think that many times we keep underlining the things that separate us, like political topics. I really think that we were learned not to talk about politics, religion, because that we didn't learn how to discuss and respect the others in their perspective. I really think that we need to create spaces where it is fine to talk with people who think different or see some things from different perspectives, because that will create the bridges that we cannot create from just theory of or media or social networks. We can only create that because we know that we can build things that matter to everybody, that have the same purpose with people who thinks different than us. And that's the real sense of democracy. That's my I think yes, to answer, yes, it's possible. We need to work very hard and very intentional. But if not, why to wake up every morning, you know?
That's very precious, a reason to wake with purpose, as Marian has said, to be able to have this bravery that we'll need in leadership, as Guillermo has expressed to us. And audience, when you listen to dear Jesus, what he says is, we have everything here. We don't need a hero. Some may say that hero may be their madre, maybe their mom, there may be their dad, their sister, and their neighbor. It may be their best friend. For me, it's the Heavenly Father. That the hero I have is already here. There's no need for another. There is none. So for me, as I listen to you, under the sound of your voice, with the GatherVerse community, GatherVerse, follow these leaders. Don't just let this live and breathe here. Let it go beyond these borders, these digital pixelations, these realistic, immersive, simulated, alternative versions of us rendered through technology that speaks really comes from the heart of what's emanating from within. Let me tell you something. This was one of the greatest panels I've ever been able to attend, because although I know nothing of South America, I got to spend some time with those who do. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for concluding with us this last roundtable discussion of GatherVerse South America. I hope you go well, and I hope that I see you in the future. To the much success to you and your